That way Kathy can hear it good.
What?
Easy, Granny.
See, get it?
Easy, Granny. I got you.
Oh, the intro version.
The intro version? It should. I think it says Chuck's intro or something like that.
You may have to do our announcement yourself today.
I know, right?
These are super hot mics.
From Venture X Studios.
He found it.
JP, Kathy, and the crew.
The crew. Good morning. It's Monday morning, and
March Madness Monday.
no, it's bracketology, bracketness, broken.
Oh wait, what did we call it?
You
2
called
years
it
ago,
something, bracket intelligence or something like that.
bracketology brilliance.
Bracketology.
I would go for bracketology brokenness.
I would go for
this time around.
I would say that I'm pretty much a genius though right now since I'm number one.
Wow. Oh, I am the only person lower than me in the brackets.
Yeah.
And we're getting ready for Dr. Clothier, so
Yeah.
stay tuned. Obviously, he's got the intelligent information that's coming on our show today. JP and I are just goofing around. Okay,
Right.
so yeah, so the only person lower in the JP, Kathy, and the crew rankings than me is Charles Gura. And Michelle, who, thank you very much, Michelle, who's in charge of everything, when she contacted me, and she's like, well, Charles signed up, but then he didn't pick teams. And so I real quick pinged Charles, and he's like, he goes, I'm so crazy busy, I don't even have time to go in and pick today. And I said, hey, it's all good. We just wanted to make sure you had a chance to pick if you wanted. So Charles, who has no teams picked, no, nothing.
Kathy and then Charles.
I am right ahead of him.
Nathan, do we have Dr. Clothier yet? Let's throw him in here. Let's get him up on the big screen and start talking medicine.
Oh, he'll have his 2 cents on, because he's a big old basketball fan and coached his kids basketball and all that kind of good stuff.
And I'm going to start off with this.
Yes. We have our priorities with Dr. Clothier. We will talk COVID, but we are talking March Madness
basketball first. So let's see.
Oh.
Dr. Clothier is connecting as we speak.
Good morning, Dr. Good. Good morning, Dad.
So we'll let him get connected in, and we'll ask him about his brackets and see if he was able to pick better than the most of us in the country, might I add. I will say this, though. A dear friend of mine went to Vegas with his son. It was the rite of passage time.
Right,
and
21.
Yeah, well, then his other son was going there, too. So they all kind of met up, right? And they watched March Madness from Vegas.
Oh, now how fun is
That's
that?
way
Had they
cool.
placed bets on it, though?
Oh, he put a $600 bet on Abilene Christian to win.
Really?
Turned it into $2,500
What was he? Is he a
big
alum?
ACU? Yeah, he's an alum, and one of his kids went there.
Wow!
And his wife went there.
Okay,
and all that.
Okay, gotcha.
Do we have Dr. Clothier?
We do.
Hey, good morning, Dr. Clothier.
I can't see anybody, but I can hear you. So.
Well, and there's your video.
There you are.
You were just talking about Abilene Christian. I'm an alumnus, and we enjoyed that win. I'm wearing purple today.
There you go. You are.
It's not an ACU type, but it would blend in on campus.
It would. So, Dr. Clothier,
but I'd have to pay more tuition, so I'm not there.
Dr. Clothier, forget medicine for a minute. Let's talk about the medicine that we need for our brackets.
Of course, Dr. Good.
How's your brackets?
Dr. Good from the Ask Dr. Big Good show is like, no talk meds, no basketball.
The tournament usually starts on Thursdays, and mine was perfect through Thursday night. Because they started on Friday this year. So, yeah, I was pretty impressed that after a day, there were 108 perfect brackets. Brackets have 16.7 million. And by day 2, there were 0. So the lesson I learned is I'm not going to bet the house on the bracket again.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
But, yeah. No, I don't gamble anyway. I've always found that to be a strange issue, but I think it's a fair thing to point out that if there are 108 out of 16.7 million brackets good after one day and none after 2, that's what betting odds actually are all about. They're extremely low. The house always wins, and actually see a fair number of people in my practice who have gambling addiction. And, the greatest challenge with that is they always believe they're the ones who have the best, solution. They know how to bet. They're great at it, and I always think, well, if you're that great at it, why are we here discussing that you've lost everything by gambling addiction?
Right.
And it's really an interesting, it's almost like, the drunk driver who has a couple of DUIs and they're in for, kind of legal purposes of having to have other medical surveillance. And they'll say, well, I can hold my liquor. And I think, well, then how is it you're here? It's always interesting to me. I think people have to be more real with themselves. But having said all that, the tournament is always fun. I hated missing it last year. It's my favorite sporting event of the year. And I think I picked a winner. I'm trying to remember. It's really hard this year to figure it out because the seasons have been different. The head-to-head has been very different. A lot of teams have played the same team 3 and 4 times through the year, got a pretty good record, got in tournament, maybe aren't that good. And, of course, we have the COVID cancellations, which is a challenge, too. And, it's hard to win a championship on any level. You have to have everything go right. You have to have no injury, no controversy with the team. You have to be playing at peak form. Teams that peak early in the year and look great often are not very good by the end of the year. It's all about momentum, and it's a challenge.
Well, and I'll tell you, I don't know if you heard, but VCU gave Oregon an automatic win as they had a player come up positive with COVID-19. So COVID is playing a role as well. Oklahoma star player not in the game because of COVID-19. A lot of COVID out there.
Before the tournament's over, we'll see more of that. I mean, that's just the statistical odds. And I think it is unfortunate. And, it's a weird thing to see that score reported as 1-0. That's the official score given when someone has to forfeit. And so, it's really odd to see that in the bracket. I think it's very sad. I feel sorry for the kids because, they are just kids. And they, of course, living in the excitement of the era, they don't always pay that much attention to COVID risks, or they don't believe it'll happen. And unfortunately, it does. And I think, that's part of the challenge we're facing that I wanted to discuss this morning anyway. It's, if you followed your beach news from Florida over the past few days, Florida has had to close down major beaches and causeways and such because people are out there swarming around spreading a virus. And, it's, of course, it's COVID-19, and it's, there are mutations now that I think are expected. Again, I don't necessarily find the fact that it's mutated to be a strange thing, but I think what has happened is the world has grown weary, or at least the United States has grown weary of having COVID restrictions, as we were discussing last week too. And, we're going to see probably another surge. And I think that's really unfortunate. The numbers have actually come down to, it's really hard to say manageable numbers because it's manageable as long as you don't have the virus and as long as you don't have a family member who's died or a friend or whatever. But it's, the numbers are better. The hospital numbers have dropped. But I think we're probably talking about another week or two as soon as we see the travel and spring break and lifting of restrictions type issue pick up again. We'll probably have another, at least somewhat of an increase there that I think is going to be a concern to people. And I just hope, I know so many churches that I talk to and advise on when to open, how to open and such. They're all super excited to get people back together for fellowship purposes. Entertainment venues want people, people that sell tickets to movies want people to come to the movie. And I think all those groups are very excited that we've seen a decline. The problem is if it suddenly goes up again and the county gets shut down again, that's going to be a very devastating thing. That's what I'm concerned about. So stay careful, keep washing hands, keep your social distancing. And I do want to address that because I think there's this weird thought that because Governor Abbott said you don't have to wear a mask somewhere, that you shouldn't wear a mask anywhere. And that's not true. Your businesses that you go to are still able to have their freedom and pick whether they want to expose their employees and such. And so they are allowed to make that decision. So be respectful of decisions there. And then, as always, be respectful of other people. If you know somebody who's prone to infection and medical challenges, it's not the right thing to go expose them to the virus potentially. And with all the change and the talk about the mask, the reality is there still is recommended social distancing, hand washing, being careful not to be in a small room for too long with people, not to be anywhere over an hour in a room. All those restrictions still exist.
Well, and Dr. Clothier, you mentioned in Miami, and I don't know if you saw any of the videos that have now gone viral from like the restaurant that when they realized there was a situation, the mayor was like, hey, we're going to have to start shutting things back down. The patrons, when they were told, hey, we've got to close the restaurant at 8, and it's a bunch of spring breakers, went crazy and destroyed the restaurant. We're throwing things, we're tearing things apart.
Right. Let's think about that.
That's frightening.
That situation. I don't think that helped that situation. And it's unfortunate. Mob mentality is always a strange thing anyway. And
yes.
People do things in a group they would never do as individuals. And I would really encourage. The virus is nobody's personal choice. It's not like the restaurant owner or manager said, I'm just tired of you people. I'm going to claim there's a viral risk here. And so, they destroy it to show a point of some sort. I don't understand that realm of human behavior, why people get so out of control and make terrible decisions, make a bad situation much worse. I would really encourage everybody, just be fair and be reasonable. Use your brain for what it's supposed to be for, which is good decision making and processing. Don't just react and destroy things because you're frustrated that there's a virus. That's no more the fault of the owners of that restaurant than it is your
That
own.
was my point.
There's a virus around.
Then it becomes a financial loss for the owner. It becomes a loss of income for the people who were working there. The mayor made the decision based on information he had received from health experts. It was very sad to see that. It also kind of shows you where, as a country, and I know you're a big proponent of taking care of your mental health as well as your physical health. As far as mental health, I don't even think we've seen, and I've said this before, the tip of the iceberg with the mental health crisis that we've got going on.
Oh no, yeah.
As a result of the
you're
pandemic.
Absolutely right. We're going to have to figure out new ways to deal with that. And a big part of that's going to be avoiding a mob mentality, and frankly, just listening to evidence and sound advice. I know it's incredibly tempting to have a better view on something than anybody else has. For you to be the world thought leader on a virus or how to manage it or how to run your business during that time is incredible. I mean, I love it that there are so many people there are experts like that. But I think they should also listen to the actual evidence and the actual experts. And, I'm not sure exactly how it is that a relatively pervasive conservative thought is that the Centers for Disease Control knows nothing whatsoever about disease control. But, it may have some government funding and government people, but it's still people that come together and analyze disease control, because there's no private group that can do that other than the individual who happens to be your neighbor or on Facebook with you. And so I think it's really important to listen to evidence. And, even when it comes down to, say, taking vitamin C to help with the virus, it's probably not a harmful thing. Nobody's suggested that, but there's not evidence that it's going to stop the worldwide pandemic either. Even though I know a number of people have told me that's really it, but nobody will allow that to be talked about. And, I'm happy again that there are that many experts, but I think we've got to look at the big picture. And, obviously that I'm being quite sarcastic. I want to just point that out for those who haven't dealt with me before. But that sarcasm is brought about by the fact that it's so frustrating to see people just declare. I had a patient the other day that said, he was just happy that President Trump was out of office because Trump brought that virus into the country to kill all the Democrat voters.
Gosh, are you
and,
serious?
He stated it. Yeah, absolutely. He stated it just as matter of fact as it could be. And he said, "Oh, I went and got my Biden vaccine, and my vaccine brought by Biden a couple days ago. This was probably 3 or 4 weeks back." And I said, "Well, that was approved during the Trump administration." He said, "No, it wasn't. Biden brought it." And I thought, well, and this wasn't Johnson & Johnson. It was just, it's just interesting to me that people have such a precise set of, well, these are the facts. And no matter what the evidence is, I'm not going to change that. So, try to be reasonable. And that's where, like a group mentality at a restaurant, the reason there has been an approach to the virus is that the virus is new to people. It is deadly. I know that people always want to say, "Oh, I know, so-and-so, my aunt died. They said she had COVID, but I don't think she did." It's possible. There can be human error in reporting things. There wouldn't be human error in well over 1 million worldwide deaths. Keep in mind this worldwide, not just U.S. Well more than 500,000 U.S. deaths. And, you just have to get reasonable about the process and realize that there are some issues out there you need to pay attention to, respect, and most of all, respect your fellow person. I think it's just not right to destroy someone's property, to destroy someone's life, to hurt someone. If you smash somebody over somebody's head and they have a closed head injury because you were upset that you got asked to leave a restaurant, that's a pretty significant strike against fellow person.
So, Dr. Clothier, we do have a question. Dr. Good, one of our educators, and has a show, Ask Dr. Be Good, and Pub Ed advocate, asks about the 3 foot versus 6 foot social distancing now and the impact that may have in school. Is it okay?
Glad y'all brought that up.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's a great question. That changed, I believe it was on Friday that CDC made the statement that in a low-risk group of children in school, that with proper hygiene techniques, washing of hands, and wearing a mask, by the way, in that setting, and barriers, that 3 feet was acceptable between children. But then groups of adults, there should still be a 6 foot distancing. And when it's not the same pod of people, in other words, like a classroom of kids. So if they're out in the hall, moving around with another class or with adults or going through a cafeteria line, there still should be a 6 foot distance. But in the classroom where they've been together through the school year, it can be 3 feet. And that is brought about, from the standpoint of we've seen fewer infections in kids in school than what any of us expected.
Absolutely.
I think that kids do seem to be fairly resilient to getting the virus, but the adults are still at risk. And we have adults of all ages working in schools.
Yes,
and
we do.
So you still need to respect that distance when adults come into play. But if you're a pod of a classroom, much like a pod of a family or of coworkers who have been together, are respectful of each other's, hygiene and risk, and try to be careful about that you actually can increase the number of children in that classroom, essentially, or be in the smaller room at the same time. You may not have to rotate every other day doing something so that you're, able to be about 3 feet apart. Now, that's a reasonable guess based on evidence. It's not proof that someone wouldn't get the infection. So you still have to pay attention to, if your child's sick, they need to stay home. If you have somebody in the household sick, people should be staying home. And that's a big one, because I think people are tired of that too. I hear a lot of frustration from people. Oh, I'm coughing, sneezing, and people say I got, prove I'm not infected or spend some time away from work because of that. Well, the reason is we're still trying to get a handle on the whole viral outbreak. So I do think that schools have performed exceptionally well in keeping viral infections low. It's amazing to me that they've been able to do so well. So that is loosening a little bit of the restriction on the children. But again, keep in mind, it's still proper to be respectful of distancing with adults.
Right.
So, Dr. Clothier, talking about the social distancing and and wearing the masks. And what about when the kids go outdoors? You know, elementary school kids have that break where they can get out and expel.
Recess.
Yeah, some of that
I miss
energy and
recess.
stuff.
Did they have recess again? Yeah. Yeah. Well, when you're outside, I think the real key is just don't get in somebody's face and talk, yell, whatever. You know, it's kind of ironic. I see, you know, like for instance, on football sidelines, the coaches and the players on the sidelines have masks on. Then they go talk to each other and they lower the mask and get right in their face and talk.
I love it.
That is what is the problem.
Right.
The problem isn't being
That always
outdoors
cracks me
with the
up.
breeze blowing through a stadium. So I think when you're outside, it's still proper. You know, the big negative response that a lot of places had, including governments and states and such, including Texas, was shutting down outdoor activities early on when nobody understood the pandemic, when everybody was afraid that the virus would be on dry ground, for instance, and that it would spread. And that's because it's brand new and nobody knew. But, you know, they shut down state parks, they shut down tennis courts. Golf was shut for a few minutes, and then they opened that back up
Right.
because I think the golfing lobby is pretty significant. But the golf courses were open before state parks, and I think the airflow outside is the key, and not being in a small cluster of somebody speaking with somebody you don't know. And even then, that outdoor risk is extremely small compared to indoor risk. The indoor risk, as we've talked about before, is that particles of virus can float around in the air. Even if you're not breathing towards somebody, they can accumulate in the air of a room. And if you look at contact tracing studies of infection, for instance, in restaurants, if there's a known infected individual at one table, the people around that table are the most likely to contract the virus. The people a few feet further away are less likely, but still possible, and the people in the room are the least likely that are far away. Least likely get it, but still possible because that virus hovers in the air. So if you can get air moving through a room and moving through that space, in and out, like for instance, if you're riding in a car with somebody and you have the front windows open or cracked or sunroof and you have air going out the back too, if you have a back window you could open, that's going to reduce the risk from just sitting there in the air that's sitting there, that's recirculated. So it's all about getting the air moving and the viral particles then spread out with normal air in a far less likely way to impact someone.
Well, excellent information as always. And, you know, and we tell people and we talk to the crew, you know, some people are on one side, some people are on the other side of arguments with masks, social distancing, anything and everything. Make the decisions that are best for you and for your family and your loved ones with your circumstance in mind. You know, I've got friends and family who have decided, okay, I'm not wearing masks anywhere. Then I've got other ones who are like, I'm still going to wear it. Hey, I didn't get the flu this year. I haven't gotten a cold this year. You know, maybe it doesn't hurt. And again, I think that needs to be everybody's individual choice. And then don't shame the other individuals around you, kind of a thing, for making a different decision than you make.
Yeah, and business owners can pick and choose, by the way, too.
Yes.
So it is, you know, I think it's, if we, for instance, at my business, if we know we have someone in the office who is at high risk for infection, let's say they're 87 and on chronic oxygen and have 17 diseases, I really don't want someone coming to the front and saying, well, you know, I'm not going to wear a mask because that's my freedom. I'm going to think to myself, well, I can't tell you that you need to protect this person that we know is at high risk because of confidentiality, but I can ask that you wear a mask in that circumstance. And that's where a lot of businesses are too with their employees. No business wants all their employees to be out with COVID for 10 to 14 days. You know, it's not good for business when you have nobody who can work. And so a lot of businesses are still going to want you in a mask, and it would be a great thing if you could be respectful of that and not try to argue your point of your own freedom, and just put on the mask for a little bit and spend your time and then go. And that's far more peaceful. No need to incite a riot where no riot is due.
Indeed. Well, Dr. Clothier, we have run you right up to your 8 o'clock time, and we know you've got to go help patients today.
Well, I appreciate that. Have a great week and enjoy the basketball tournament.
You too. We'll see you next Monday.
Did I mention that ACU won the other day?
Yeah, you did.
You know, you did.
I think
You started out with that.
I just I just want to make sure that got in there somewhere.
Well, and I think they've got a real good chance of beating UCLA too.
Oh.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's, it's always a one and done tournament. It's always hard to say, but I think the chance is great. We'll see what actually happens.
That's why they play the games.
That's why we love
Yes,
March
indeed.
Madness.
Have a good week.
You too. Be blessed.
Thanks, Dr. Clothier.
Sure.
So
Bye.
speaking of getting into the brackets, I'm on my CBS Sports Line page.
Okay, I'm gonna go pick mine up.
Now,
Hold
of course,
on. Let's see.
I'm in first.
Love it.
What can I
thought
say?
Fred was.
There's 3 of us in first place.
Okay, so who's tied?
And
for
then Nathan
first?
is fourth, only because there's 3 of us in first place.
Were there some other games played last night that I haven't looked
Yes,
into?
there were
yet?
games
Okay.
that played last night.
Gotcha.
Let's see here. Let's go back to the main page
I've got to pull mine up.
because I'm on the other page. Let's see here. All right. So who is all in first? We have Marvin. Marvin's in first place.
We've got Ramil saying, "Go Bruins."
Yeah, and I said, yeah, no, go ACU. We've got John Payton. Ooh, that would be me.
Raise the roof.
Raise the roof. Then we got Bobby Ward,
Yeah.
who's in first. And then Nathan is in fourth. And Michelle, Fred, Judd, Michael are in fifth place.
Okay.
So that's your top 5.
All right, and again, I am next to last, only because Charles Gura did not fill out any teams.
A bracket.
And you're welcome.
And you're
I
welcome.
don't know.
And you're welcome. So I'm going to cruise
I
over.
laughed more starting, when was it, Friday during the day when all these were on, and I was trying to follow them while I was out and about. And I laughed more over the weekend as different teams like folded. I'm like, I'm just going to stop looking. I'm just going to stop looking.
I'm done watching. Well, a lot of mine was listening. I did a lot of listening on the radio.
Oh.
On ESPNU while I was driving around, and was just in shock. When Texas lost, I just thought, okay, the end of the world's here.
Well, yeah, that's an emotional thing for you.
Yeah, I was like, the end of the world is
You're
here.
like, what is happening?
Nathan, I sent you my bracket in JPK, and see if you can pull that up and put it on the screen for me, please.
Where are the...
So that's right
Where's
now
my
where we're at in the
bracket?
top 5, right? And in the top 5, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people in the top 5.
How do I get back to my bracket?
Go back to CBS Sports Line,
Okay, I'm on.
and then go to your teams,
My teams.
and then it should bring up the JP Kathy and the crew insignia kind of deal there.
Must be on the wrong thing. Okay, I'll figure this out while you're pulling yours up. Because I want to see the little, the little thing as it goes in. You know what I'm talking
I
about.
wonder why it's not. Oh, it's wanting me to log in over there. It didn't. Well, Nathan, I guess, see if it'll just log in automatically. I don't know that it will. Oh, Chambrielle has her login there. Well, we can go in through Chambrielle's and let's see if you can look at my
see
bracket.
if you can look at yours.
Yeah. Let's
Yeah, I'm
see.
still trying to figure out how to get back to mine.
What I know is
My
everybody's bracket,
brackets.
of course, is busted. No
Oh.
doubt about that.
And mainly for the same reason.
Where it says my
A little bit
pools up
later,
there,
stay tuned. I'm going to be telling you
Click on
how
that.
I came to choose one of my teams that I thought
all
that
right,
I
and then
hoped was
click
going to make
on
it to
mine.
the top 4. Didn't make it so well.
Didn't make it so well because I only want to make.
But you
fun
gotta
of-
see the
I only want to make fun of me.
You got to see the rationalization.
Well, I'm looking forward to the craziness, by the way.
And it is.
So
insane.
here is my bracket and the way it's laid
Okay.
out, right? And so, Nathan, I'm going to keep putting you to work, so don't give up on the mouse just yet. But if you'll notice, I really don't have a bracket breaker, right? So I've got a couple losses in the top, in the West and in the
you
South.
didn't pick Oral Roberts to
No,
win.
no, I would have bet
I
on
think
that
that's where, and most people did or would have. I think that blew so many people's brackets because they won the first round and the second round.
one. Right. So if you'll,
Everybody's like, what?
yeah, if you'll go up now, or I say up, go down. Again,
they
you'll
play
notice I didn't
Arkansas
have any
next?
break. No, they haven't played yet. They
No, but
play
is that who they play next? Is Arkansas?
next Saturday.
Okay,
Well,
gotcha.
this Saturday coming up.
Okay.
But you'll notice I didn't have any brackets break. I just had some losses in the brackets. So go ahead and take me, I guess, down, right? Or push it up. I want to go that way. Whatever that means.
Whatever this direction is.
All right. Now all of a sudden you see the brackets breaking. Boom. Look at this. So I picked Illinois to beat Drexel. They did that. well and handily. But then Georgia Tech didn't handle their game. That was all. 8 and 9 is always a question mark anyways. So Loyola Chicago goes into the next round. They thought, okay, well, Illinois got it going on, right? The Illini, they're cool. Wrong. And Loyola Chicago says, we're cooler. Beats them. Well, then let's go to my bottom bracket. I take Tennessee over Oregon State. No, stay right there. Perfect. I take Tennessee over Oregon State. What a mistake. Oregon State made me pay for that. Thank you to Tennessee. And so then I pick Oklahoma State. They handle Liberty without any problem. And so Oregon State goes on or Tennessee goes on to beat Oklahoma State. And Tennessee moves on, which is where I had Oregon State. So Oregon State and Loyola Chicago, they bust my bracket there. The only saving grace will be that I got lucky down with Houston, and Houston beats Cleveland State with no problem.
Right.
Goes on to beat Clemson with barely a 3-point win. And now they'll take on Syracuse this Saturday coming on. So as long as Houston can beat Syracuse, they will not have busted my bracket. So this is, it's bad news. Then we flip over to the other side. BYU loses to UCLA. Didn't see that coming. And, of course, Texas loses to Abilene Christian. So they break my bracket. But up on top, I pick Michigan and LSU. They hit it off. Michigan plays Florida State. And Florida State, they'll play that game. That's to be announced. Florida State beats UNC, which I was listening to that game, UNC Greensboro, and that was a close game, closer than what the score is. Georgetown, of course, Georgetown I picked because I'm a Patrick Ewing fan and just loved the Hoyas from the day of old when John Thompson was the coach. And they got smoked by Colorado, and appropriately so, might I say. So I knew I was going to lose that bracket. So then Colorado will face off with Florida State today. If Colorado beats Florida State, then there could be a potential bracket breaker there.
Okay.
So we'll see what happens. But
who did you have in the Final Four?
My Final
At the
Four.
end of the day,
Nathan, if you'll go back up,
yours?
please. So way fast. Go back to the middle. All right, here's my Final Four. Gonzaga and Michigan, Baylor and Houston.
And there's still a possibility of all that.
Yes, right now my bracket's not broken yet.
No, yours is not.
But
now, mine is.
Let's go to Kathy's.
And let's have some fun.
Okay, lay the groundwork, foundation girl. I want to hear this.
So here's the thing. So yes, I'm down at the bottom, Nathaniel. Thank you very much. Next to Charles Guru, who has 0 because he has no teams picked. Chose no teams.
That's
the only reason why I'm
Well, Kathy, you picked Creighton in Ohio.
Well, here's how I got to...
Yeah, how'd you pick Ohio over Virginia?
Okay, so here is the way I kept thinking, some years I've gone off, especially back in the day when I did follow the NCAA religiously. I would literally pick and I'd be like, okay, this team's better at the buzzer, this team, this, okay. Would always have some kind of rationale. Now, as the years have gone on and I'm just kind of picking for fun, I go with, this is the way I went this year. Let's just say this. And it was kind of haphazard. But you said, who did you pick emotionally? You said Georgetown, right?
I picked Georgetown emotionally.
And that was an emotional pick.
And I knew that I had a feeling they were going to lose.
All of mine were emotional picks, except when I got to the very end. Here's how it goes down.
Now, how did that, what?
Here's how it goes down. So if it's a college that either, North Texas, I went there. Okay, if it's a college, my husband, Baylor, okay. So if it's a college where I have a dear friend or family member who loves that school, is an alum, went there, there's some kind of an emotional tie, I went with that first. If there were 2 schools that had neither one of those, then I would look at their mascots and decide which mascot I preferred. So, and so like when it comes to who are the Wolves?
Who are the Wolves?
I'm trying to think because at that point I just looked and I thought Wolves, Game of Thrones. Okay, and went with that.
You did not do
I did. This was all just kind of emotional feelings. So here's, if you'll look in my Final Four, in the Final Four, I had Gonzaga and Baylor. I had Texas, and I had Drexel. Okay, Who picked Drexel to even get out of the first round?
How did you pick Drexel? How's that emotional pick?
This is where I've had
to the Final Four.
I've
How
had
did
two
you do
people
this?
who are in our bracketology brilliance who said, when you tell JP on Monday how you chose Drexel to go as far as you did, his head will explode. So there are people watching right now for pieces of your brain to come out.
Well,
so here's the thing with Drexel. Okay.
Because like I get Butler years ago. Butler did great and made the Final Four, all that, right? How in the world do you pick a team like Drexel?
And to go to the Final Four.
That's what I mean.
And then I had to like let senses kick in to not pick them for the championship game. So, and you knew this animal back years ago. Back in the day, I had a cat, beautiful, part tabby, part Persian Himalayan cat, gray cat, sweetest baby, named Drexler. Drexler was named after Clyde the Glide Drexler. This is back when I followed the NBA religiously, and he was one of my all-time favorite NBA players, still is to this day, love him. Named my cat Drexler. So when I saw Drexel the other day, I thought, you know what? That kind of sounds like Drexler. And JP, that is how I got so far off the track.
You're kidding me, right?
No, this is
to the
legit.
Final Four.
Can't make it up. Can't make it up.
I'm gonna make you put money on it next time. You're gonna have to bet on it because this is ridiculous. Drexel into the fourth, really?
Because
really, you're sitting across from me.
Cat Drexler.
We're doing no. We don't pick Drexel because our cat's name. Oh,
I knew that would make you
You're like the most
insane.
anti-competitive person I know, and then you end up winning. That's the part that makes me mad. You pick by all this craziness. Drexel,
wait
my
till you
cat,
see.
and I win.
But he
Yay!
was a sweet
And I'm like,
baby.
how the hell do you do this?
Remember when I had Jazz and Darby, my Australian Shepherds? This is, well, heck, before the kids were born, I had 4 pets. I had Jazz, a blue Merle Australian Shepherd, Darby, a red Merle Australian Shepherd. I had Drexler, who was a sweet, sweet cat. I had another cat named Niles, my favorite character from Seinfeld. You knew all those babies, you know?
Yeah, but still,
back when I lived in
you
East
don't-
Plano.
You don't pick the
But I
Final
did. And I
Four.
don't know what, I didn't even pay attention. I went back and I'm like, Kathy, you could have looked at the rankings a little bit. And I'm like, nope, just kept going with it. Stopped short of taking them into the championship because at some point I'm like, okay, I gotta show
If you would have
some
put them,
sense.
if you would have put them in the finals,
Oh, that would have been, yeah.
then my head would have
Oh,
exploded.
yeah. So at least I stopped there. So that's the fun
Well,
of Drexler versus Drexel. So there you go.
I
Didn't
do
work
it-
out so well for me,
I
though.
do appreciate you though,
Why is that?
because you picked my Longhorns to go to the Final Four.
You know,
I didn't even have them
and
going to the
that's
Final
because
Four.
of you and my mom.
Oh, is that why?
Yeah. So there you go.
Because I'm like, I don't even have them picked to the Final Four. Poor
you
Fredo
know,
did.
yeah.
Fredo had them picked to the
Oh.
Final Four.
Oh, okay. So I'm not the only
No,
one.
you're
There
not
you
the only
go.
one.
Now wait until, and we will unveil this little piece of information. So Michelle's sending me. She's like, you didn't pick your points. And for some reason, I thought, pick your points. I thought, oh, okay. I think it's going to be an 8-point game.
You did not
Then
say
decides-
8 points.
I sent Michelle, I said, 8. And she's like, I'm sure she's like, oh, good God. How does Kathy get out of bed and walk in the morning?
That's the first 3 minutes.
So she said, no, it's the combined. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. So,
And
but
you win.
I will reveal.
And yet you'll win.
I will reveal later how I came up with my final number for combined points. Was not by any kind
Does it
of.
show us that up there?
I don't think it shows.
I don't
us
see the
there.
points up there.
Well, I can tell you real quick.
And what did you
can't-
pick as the points?
Oh, I can't. I will tell you. I cannot reveal how I got there.
And I have a question. Who picks Grand Canyon to beat Iowa?
Well, I'll have to go back and look and tell you why. Okay, 165 is the total points I picked,
Okay.
but there was
That's not horrible.
an emotional-ish, if you will.
Okay, how do you have emotional?
No.
I mean, come
You
on.
will have to find out when we get to the final.
Grogu,
game.
quit smiling. She's killing me,
Okay,
Grogu.
let's see. Where are you saying that? Who did I pick over who?
You picked Grand Canyon over Iowa. What were you thinking?
Iowa. Where was that?
They're
Where-
right
is
there.
that
Your
down?
bracket's right there. You picked Grand Canyon University.
Oh, because I like the gazelle. Because it
I
looks
like
like the Grand Canyon
the
gazelles.
gazelle.
I'm assuming that's a gazelle. Right?
Oh, wow.
Yes, that was an emotional mascot pick, and I like gazelles.
Is there such a thing as an emotional mascot pick?
There is now.
Wow.
Yeah, Yeah, that's why. Because look how cool their little mascot is.
How cool
And he's all
their
jumping.
little
Is it a
mascot is.
gazelle? Can somebody help me out with that? Is it a gazelle?
I'm going to gazelle you. I don't
see?
have a clue.
That's why JP's like,
Michael,
when I'm
help. Bobby,
yeah,
help.
they're all like, oh, you should know, she's beyond.
Keep her
help.
away from the olive
She is
bar
beyond-
and a glass of wine before she starts picking.
This was me picking.
Did you smoke weed when you picked these?
I don't smoke weed.
You
That was
might have
me-
with these
That
picks.
was with me stone sober after the show on Friday.
How do you pick? I mean, I get that Texas Tech was close. How do you pick Tech over Arkansas? Arkansas very well could be
Because-
the tournament upset.
Well, here's the thing. Because I did not like Arkansas going against Texas Tech. And Arkansas, they win all this stuff all the time. I was kind of tired of seeing them win. Same reason I didn't pick Alabama. I was ready for guns up.
Nathan Wynn goes, if you're going to make her bet, I'll book it. Just saying. Well, allegedly.
Now, this is for fun. Now, if I were in Vegas placing bets, I wouldn't have been like, I like the gazelle. Hey, Drexel kind of sounds like Drexler. We'll take my old cat all the way to the Final Four. Oh, please. If this were real money, this bracket would look way different. But for fun,
Well, you know what's
good
funny
times.
is Illinois beat Drexel 78-49.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was embarrassing.
At one point, the first half, there was at one point in time, we were only behind by 1 point.
You got to get past the first minute and a
And
half.
then that's it. Yeah, I know. I was in like the first 10 minutes. I was like, okay.
Oh, goodness gracious. Michelle goes, I was laughing my ass off when I was messaging Kathy about points and getting everything closed out on bracket. Total cheerleader.
And Michelle, we love you for helping set this up and helping walk all of us to the finish line. I knew when she saw 8 points, and then she goes, no, it's total points. Because I'm like, I think the Baylor will win by 8. And then she's like, oh, I was like, she had to have just been laughing.
So, Nathan, take me over to Marvin's picks, because Marvin's in first place with me. Michelle so aptly pointed out that Judd really has the most points right now in the tournament. Out of 234, he has 234 points. But let's go down for a second. I mean, I've got 232 points. Michelle, come on, really? But let's look at Marvin's picks, because it's Marvin and Bobby. We'll look at Bobby's afterwards, because it's just interesting. See at the very top where it says Cufford Marvin Johnson? There we go.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Has everybody either chosen Baylor, Gonzaga, or Houston? Are those the
Well, let's
only...
see what's in his final. Go on down to the middle there. Perfect. No, he's got Michigan beating Gonzaga. So, interesting. Marvin and I have the exact same Final Four, but we don't have the exact same championship.
And I'm thinking, I literally look at that Final Four, and I think that's, if I were going to seriously have picked and not been like out there on a limb, being emotional and having feelings this time.
Drank wine and eat olives.
Yeah, there you go. I think that's who I would have chosen for the Final Four.
So Marvin gets a bracket buster at the bottom of the South with Virginia Tech and with Oral Roberts.
Well, and I want to know who was seriously doing this, not just being goofy and having fun. Who out there chose Oral Roberts? I mean, I almost, at one point, I was like, well, they're a Christian school. I'll go there for Jesus. And I almost picked them originally, but then I was like, oh, come on, Kathy, you can't do that. Who legitimately thought, okay.
Picked Oral Roberts, right? Number 15 to beat Ohio
I'm
State.
dead serious. Even if you're not in our bracket and not playing in our pool, who out there knew that they were going to be an upset?
Well, I mean, the truth of it is, right, if you're really watching college basketball closely,
Yep.
I was told that Ohio State didn't have defense or offense this year, that they kind of walked their way in, and that Oral Roberts really had it put together and played well. And they're saying that Oral Roberts has a real good chance of beating Arkansas. Yeah. So,
I mean, and there's always, this is what I love about March Madness. Every single time, there's always a Cinderella story. Who am I trying to imitate on that? But the Cinderella, Bill Murray.
Oh, Bill Murray.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
What was the golf? A Caddyshack.
Caddyshack. Gotcha.
Cinderella story. So I love the Cinderella story. That, and that's who you end up rooting for. You know what? I am absolutely at this point rooting for Oral Roberts University to beat Arkansas. go. And what are Oral Roberts? What is
I don't
their
remember.
mascot?
I don't know. It's right there. I can't see it. I'm blind. Is it an eagle or something?
Yeah, somebody. I've got to look that up. So,
Oh, wait, here it
but
goes.
at this
He's trying
point,
to make it bigger. What is
oh,
that?
thank you.
Is it a rat? No, it looks like
It
it's
looks
an
like
eagle.
an eagle or some
Eagle
type of
or a
bird.
falcon.
Maybe a falcon. Okay, so whatever they are, I'm rooting for them over Arkansas.
So here's
Love
the
the
thing. The
Cinderella
last time I
story.
remember, Nathan, correct me if I'm wrong. The last time I think Butler was the last Cinderella that kind of shocked everybody, but then the next year they didn't shock everybody when they made it into the Final Four. So I think that's right. I think they even made it to the finals, if I'm not mistaken. But I think that was the last Cinderella that I remember going all the way in like that.
Okay, Fred had a good point, and I know friends who do this.
Golden Eagles. Gail
Golden
says.
Eagles.
There
Okay.
we go.
He said some put in 2 brackets. Oh, thank you, Gail. He said some put in 2 brackets. First, who they think will win, and then the opposite of their picks. And now, a large majority of the folks who are doing the brackets with us, the pool with us, are doing other ones. A lot of folks are doing national ones. So by the time it came to this, everybody knew who their picks were. And you know, I've had friends who've won some good money off March Madness pool. So good times.
Well, and Nathan says that ORU, some friends warned him about it, and he was close to going with it because they also have the leading scorer in the nation, he thinks. So that, and, you know, and again, if you're watching college basketball closely, which I have not been, Ramil says that Loyola was a Cinderella a few years ago.
Yeah, they were. Yes.
Did they get into the Final Four, Ramil? I don't remember. So, but
you know, we reported on it.
I don't remember. And then Nathan mentions VCU. You know, Nathan and I had an interesting off-air and away from everybody kind of conversation about COVID-19. That this could be the tournament of COVID, for goodness
here's
sakes.
the thing. You might have, I mean, God forbid, you could have something at the very end. You've got a Baylor team that, or, you know, Gonzaga, or one, you know, one of the, literally somebody who the majority of the country is assuming will go to the final championship game. One kid gets COVID.
Right.
And then the other team automatically goes in. So then will it become this, especially when you get, you know, higher up, you know, into the tournament.
Well, my question is, does anybody know the rules at the Final Four on that? I mean, what about the championship game?
That's a real good question. Do you have the runner-up?
Boy, you can't have a default champion.
Well, and then it would be one of those things with an asterisk by it. So it'd be like, well, but that was the year that so-and-so got knocked out because of COVID, so we really don't know.
Yeah,
and then could we have a rematch in the summer?
That would be cool.
That would be awesome.
So go ahead and take us up further his bracket, Nathan, if you would, please. I'm just curious if he had any other bracket busting that went on. He did. So the BYU, Texas, he also lost that same bracket that I lost. And so,
Ramil said, yes, Loyola did go to the Final Four. And that's what I thought. Marvin said he used to work at
Claremore.
Claremore, yep.
Yeah. So...
Yes. And
yeah,
Michelle,
Nathan says COVID wins. I mean, absolutely.
Yeah, Michelle's right. She said teams need to stay in their bubble. Oh, I would literally, if I were the coach, I would do like I used to do with my drill team girls, the Golden Girls, when I would take them to Disney or out of state or to some kind of competition where they had to stay in their rooms overnight. We would put tape on the door to make sure nobody snuck out. If your tape was broken when we went and did the hall monitoring, we knew you snuck out. You got your chops busted.
Interesting.
If I were the coach, I'd be like, okay, everybody's getting taped in their doors. You know, I'd keep them in that bubble big time.
Now, did anybody ever jump out the window into the pool?
No.
Oh,
goodness,
Michelle,
I don't know. Let me know.
So Michelle brings up, hey, what about the stink over the weight rooms between the females and the males? So yeah, you walk into the NCAA tournament weight room. Yeah.
I don't think I heard about this.
Oh, this is something. You walk in, they've got state-of-the-art everything. They've got squat machines. They've got bench presses. They've got all of these things, right?
Really?
Yeah. So then you walk into San Antonio, and they have a huge facility for the workout room for the females, right? They have one tree of hand weights.
Oh, are you
that's it.
Serious?
Yeah. Epic fail.
Okay, that is. Yeah.
Epic fail.
Okay, that's
Is
bad.
that a statement or what? I'm like, wow. And so Dick's Sporting Good, they get a big old shout out from us. They step up and they outfit the entire workout room for the ladies.
As well they should have.
Oh, my God. Well, not
they
Dick's Sporting Good.
I mean, come on. They know.
NCAA.
No. The NCAA should have. Good for Dick's Sporting. Okay, so And Ramil said that the players are wearing tracker bracelets. Okay, I would, and this is one of those things where you're like, well, I'm free. I'm an American and I'm free and I can do what I want. When you are part of a team and it's it's time to come and bust a move, you are part of a team. You're representing that college. You turn yourself over and you are the property of that school at that point. So I'm in a situation like this. I'm okay with the tracker bracelet. Guys, is that hypocritical?
Why?
I mean, I'm just because I would not. There are certain places I would not travel right now. I think is it Hawaii. I think Michelle said this. Hawaii, you have to wear a bracelet when you get over there if you're coming in from another state and traveling. Just being a tourist. But if you and so I wouldn't go there as a result of that. But I'm okay with tracker bracelets for team members.
Well,
during
that's different. I mean, you're in a tournament.
That's what I'm saying. You became property of the school
different.
at that time.
Yeah, and here's the big deal about this, right? The big deal is these kids have worked hard. And so to have one come in and get COVID, that just destroys the entire team. They've done a good job in Indianapolis and being able to spread everybody out, but keep everybody in a bubble.
Right.
And so, this thing is just what it is. It's like Dr. Clothier says, it just depends on how much you take in, on whether your body fights it off or not. But you're going to breathe in COVID-19 regardless.
Oh, I mean, you and I have to. I mean, I've been to too many places where I've given public speeches. I've been around a crowd of folks for more than an hour, and around the same group. I try to, when I'm in a crowd situation, not have a conversation too long with somebody. And if I do, and I'm right there kind of, very close and up personal with that person, I do have my mask on. I know we've all been exposed to it. Yeah, there's no way. You and I, as much as we're out and about, there's no way we have not been exposed to it at this point.
Oh, we have, but we haven't intake. We've been smart about what we're doing.
And we haven't had enough, and then you don't know what's enough for you. A little bit of COVID might get somebody very sick. It may take a ton for somebody else. Again, there's so much we don't know.
All right, Marvin. So did I get your name right?
What'd he say?
That's the question. He goes, JP, who taught you how to pronounce my first name? So did I get it right? That's the big question, right? So here's the big question. Let's go over to Bobby Ward's bracket, if we can, Nathaniel. He's also in first place as well. And then we're going to look at Nathan's bracket because, again, I'm curious. And I know we got to get us down to the end here. So here's Bobby's bracket. Do we have any breaks in the bracket? If you'll keep going down for me. He has no breaks in the South or the West. Keep on going. There's a break there. I think everybody got the break at Illinois and Oklahoma State. Keep going. And there's another bracket. BYU and Texas was the other bracket that he broke. So it seems like all of us in first place broke 2 brackets.
Okay.
But we didn't break up our final 4 bracket, which was good. And we had no breaking of the brackets in the final 8. And so that's the saving grace. Let's look at Nathan's real quick, and then we're going to start the music and head our way out. And
oh, my gosh, it's already
time.
We have to congratulate Ty Jackson. As a matter of fact, we're going to try to get him on the show maybe Friday for winning Recovery's Got Talent. He was highlighted on This Pink Clouds show on a few weeks ago. Anyway,
Right.
So congratulations. He won the whole shebang.
Oh, he won the whole thing.
Oh, he won the whole entire.
Not just qualified. He won the whole thing.
He won the entire thing. Friday night, they had the finals, and he won. And
Yeah, we
so
gotta get him on the
congratulations to Ty.
Yeah.
And then we've got ABC Nightline coming in here today to highlight a guest that's going to be on This Pink Cloud. So we will let you know when old VentureX Studio and JPK Broadcasting Network and This Pink Cloud and all that kind of good stuff and CG Kid are highlighted on Nightline. So
There we
we're
go.
very excited here today in studio.
We are very excited. All right, so right now Nathan has no breaks in the South or the West. No, he does. I take it back. There it is, the Florida and the Oral Roberts. If you'll keep going down for me, Nathan. Oh, he had Ohio State going all the way to the Final Four. Interesting Final Four
Oklahoma
picks.
State.
Or Oklahoma State,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Alabama, Gonzaga, Baylor, Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State is now out. But Gonzaga and Alabama, interesting. Yeah, he had Georgetown going all the way, though, as well. Keep on going up for me. Yeah, he had Georgetown losing to Michigan, and then Michigan losing to Alabama. Very interesting. He had also a break in the San Diego State, Syracuse, Morehead State, West Virginia, and he had another break, of course, at UCLA.
What are we doing for the
BYU
Final
and
Four?
Texas. And then go up just a little bit further. So, yeah, that's, I mean, one game can change the whole complexity of your bracket. That is for
absolutely.
sure.
When is next Monday night going to be?
I think next Monday night. Well, let's go ahead, go all the way to the top.
When
Nathan.
is the championship
Yeah, I
game?
think it
Because
says it up at the
think
top,
we're going
I
to see if
think.
we can do a little get together here
The
up
Elite
at Venture
Eight
X.
is March 29th and the 30th.
Oh, okay.
So they don't
then,
have the Final Four teams up there yet on a date and time. Probably TBA. Yeah, it's showing TBA.
Okay.
All right, Nathan, fire up the music. It's time for us to get on out of
so,
here.
yeah, so Michelle, we need to get a plan together for that.
But yeah, we'll get something out there.
Monday, April 5th.
We've talked to Leon about it, and he's given us the okay.
Good. Yeah, okay. Then we'll probably do something up here. Grab some pizzas and have some beer and wine.
And watch
on
some
Monday night the 5th.
That sounds like a plan.
Fun.
All right, everybody have a blessed day. Don't work too hard, just hard enough, and pull it all together as we continue to watch and see how the brackets will fall. Yeah, fall. You heard me say
March Madness is so
fall.
fun, and I'm so glad I'm so glad it's back. I'm so glad it's back this year. Yay!
All right,
Love
Marvin
y'all.
will be out in Orange, Texas. Be safe down there, Marvin, and have a good time. Everybody have a blessed day. We will see you on Wednesday.